COP30 has kicked off in Brazil, as we just said, but for the first time since the 1992 Rio Earth Summit, the United States has no official delegation present. While global leaders like Prince William warn of tipping points, America's climate skeptics from CFACT, the Committee for a Constructive Tomorrow, have arrived as the unofficial U.S. delegation. And joining me live from Brazil is Rucker, the co-founder and president of CFACT, to talk about what's really happening at COP30 and what this means for U.S. policy going forward. Craig, as we were tossing to you and as I was reading the story about Newsom, I saw you chuckling and giggling. So I'm going to give you the floor to say something about Newsom's comments.
Oh, well, Newsom has declared himself the unofficial delegate to COP30. We've been dubbed that too, actually, by a few news sources. And we like that claim because we actually reflect what the administration is saying. And we're here on site to try to accomplish what the administration would like, which is for a bunch of countries to pull out and follow the U.S. leadership. We've talked to delegations from the United Arab Emirates and Ethiopia and several others that have actually entertained us. And they did not go with the UN climate agreement on carbon taxes for shipping just recently, pulled out of that. We're optimistic that if we can get to a bunch of these places, especially the ones that have to pay a lot of money, they may be enticed to follow the U.S. lead. We'll see.
You know, so the U.S. has no official delegation there, as we just said. You say the administration should go further and pull out of the 1992 UN climate treaty altogether. Why?
You know, it's the same reason. I remember I was actually invited into George H. Bush's office back then, along with not just myself, but a bunch of us, and urged him not to sign it. When that treaty was initially signed back in '92, President Bush signed it as a voluntary agreement, and it was kind of understood to be that. Well, it only took a few years later, and all of a sudden that voluntary became mandatory when the Kyoto Protocol came into place in 1997. That was, of course, we never did join. George W. Bush didn't allow us to get into that. Then the Paris Accord came, and of course, Obama was happy to sign on to that. Trump got us out. Biden got us back in. Now Trump has us out. The reason this will always be a problem is that that initial treaty needs to go forward to the U.S. Senate and be voted on. And there is absolutely no way they will get the necessary 2/3 majority as required by the Constitution if they do. So we need President Trump to put that treaty before the U.S. Senate and vote it down.
So what is the atmosphere like at COP30, and how are other countries reacting? Really, it's a big deal when America is absent.
It is. Well, first off, a lot of the countries are just trying to cope with the environs here. As you can tell, we're actually, this is from my room behind, I'm facing my room, but behind me, this is what it's like. They have a severe housing shortage here. They had to clear cut part of the rainforest to have this environmental conference to build more hotel space. They even put a 14-kilometer road through the rainforest, which has provoked a lot of the Greens to be very upset. So I think the delegates are just trying to get by. Some of them are very upset. There was a protest today among some indigenous peoples who feel they've been shut out of the conference. Interestingly, when we spoke to them, their beef isn't that there's too many carbon emissions or having anything to do with global warming. It has to do with the fact that they're talking about not developing their land and trying to keep it as a nature preserve and not having them go in and have their voice heard at these conferences. It seems as though President Lulu here in Brazil wants a bunch of people that probably agree with Gavin Newsom.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.